What if the person sitting across from you, the one who smiles, who nods, who shares your secrets, was only waiting for the right moment to strike? What if every kind word, every gesture of loyalty, was just another move in a silent game you didn't know you were playing? We are raised to believe trust is noble, that good people trust and bad people deceive. But what if that's a lie? What if trust isn't a virtue, but a weapon? A tool in the hands of those who know how to wield it. Niccolò Machiavelli, the master of cold political calculation, didn't sugarcoat it. He said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." To him, trust was not a bond, it was leverage, something to use, something to exploit. Not because people are inherently evil, but because people are predictably selfish, and that's the danger. We project our own sincerity onto others. We assume loyalty because we give it. But Machiavelli knew better. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Trust wrong once and maybe you lose time. Trust wrong twice and you lose your freedom, your stability, your peace. One misjudgment of character can cost you years. The wrong business partner, the wrong lover, the wrong friend. In this video, you will see the darker side of trust, not to make you paranoid, but to make you precise. These are Machiavelli's truths, sharp, unsettling, but necessary. Because if you've ever felt blindsided, betrayed, or manipulated, you'll finally understand why. And more importantly, you'll know how to see it coming next time. Niccolò Machiavelli lived in an era where betrayal was a currency, conspiracies were routine, and empires rose and fell not by armies alone, but by whispered promises broken behind closed doors. In such a world, trust was a dangerous gamble. It was never sacred, never pure. It was a tool, a weapon, something to be wielded or shattered depending on who held it. Machiavelli did not romanticize trust. To him, it was not a virtue bestowed freely among good men. Instead, it was a means to an end, a strategic device to manipulate, control, and conquer. He understood that trust could be earned with a smile, nurtured with kind words, and shattered with the coldest calculation, all in the same breath. His insight was brutal but true. He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. Consider your own life. How many times have you trusted a business partner only to discover their loyalty was a mask for greed? How many times has a lover's whispered promise turned to silence? How many friendships have frayed because one side held something back, something hidden? This is not to say everyone is deceitful, but Machiavelli reveals a darker truth. The greatest danger is not in those who openly oppose you, but in those who pretend to care. The people who smile at you, who nod along, who seem to stand by your side. Those are the ones who hold the sharpest knives. They earn your trust to dismantle your defenses, to pierce your armor when you least expect it. This is the cruel paradox of trust. It feels like a bridge, yet it can be a trap. And the more you offer it blindly, the harder the fall when it breaks. The lesson Machiavelli offers is not to live in paranoia, but to recognize that trust, like any powerful force, is neither inherently good nor evil. It depends on the hands that wield it. So if trust can be faked, if loyalty can be a performance, how do you discern the real from the counterfeit? How do you protect yourself without closing off your heart? This is where Machiavelli's true wisdom lies. Not in blind suspicion, but in measured skepticism. In seeing people not as you wish them to be, but as they truly are. Machiavelli's harshest lesson is that appearance often outweighs reality. He famously declared that it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. This stark statement is not an endorsement of cruelty, but a recognition that human nature responds more readily to perception than truth. People are easily swayed by what they see, by what they believe, not always by what actually is. In politics, a leader who projects strength, decisiveness, and confidence gains loyalty, even if privately they harbor doubts or insecurities. The same principle applies to relationships and friendships. We trust what people show us, not what they hide. Think of the colleague who showers you with compliments in meetings, nodding along with every idea you propose. You feel seen, appreciated, even supported. But behind the scenes, that same person undermines your work, spreads rumors, or sabotages your progress, all while maintaining a flawless smile in your presence. Or consider the partner who pledges eternal love, who promises forever in whispered words, but whose eyes wander, whose attention drifts elsewhere. The words create an illusion, a carefully curated facade that masks deeper intentions. Trust is not shattered in a single moment of betrayal. It is eroded slowly in whispered doubts and silences filled with unspoken truths and smiles that conceal deceit. Each false reassurance chips away at your certainty until what once felt solid becomes fragile and then breaks. The danger lies in blind trust, trust given without scrutiny, without reflection. Every unguarded moment hands power over to others. The more you believe appearances without questioning, the more control others hold over your emotions, your decisions, your future. Machiavelli's wisdom urges us to see beyond the surface, to recognize that every friendly smile may hide a strategy. Every word of praise may be a calculated move. The world is a stage, and everyone plays a role. The question is not whether people wear masks, they do, but how well you can see through them. So, how do you protect yourself in a world built on illusion? How do you navigate a landscape where loyalty can be a performance and trust a fragile illusion? The answer lies not in cynicism, but in awareness, in cultivating a clear-eyed view of reality beneath the show, in learning to balance openness with caution, because understanding the power of appearances is the first step to reclaiming control. Machiavelli's world was one of ruthless pragmatism, a world where caution often slipped into cynicism, where trust was a gamble weighted heavily against the trusting party. His teachings warn us: be wary, be shrewd, expect betrayal. Yet, left unchecked, this mindset can breed suspicion so deep it erodes every connection, every chance at genuine closeness. Enter Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that tempers Machiavelli's harsh lessons with wisdom about balance. Stoicism does not call for paranoia. It calls for discernment. It teaches us to maintain tranquility in the face of uncertainty, to observe with clarity without becoming captive to fear or anger. It invites us to trust, not blindly but wisely. The fusion of these two philosophies offers a powerful path. It says, yes, trust is dangerous. Yes, appearances can deceive, but you can still trust, with your eyes open, your boundaries firm, and your soul guarded. You can walk forward in relationships and alliances with confidence, knowing that your peace is yours alone to protect. Neither Machiavelli nor the Stoics suggest cold isolation. Rather, they emphasize self-mastery. Machiavelli's ruthless realism pushes you to see the world clearly, to recognize potential threats before they strike. Stoicism teaches you to control your inner world, to refuse to be broken by external forces. Together, they build a fortress, not against people, but against losing yourself. This is why the Stoic observes character over words. He listens not just to what is said, but to what is shown in actions, in consistency, in silence. He measures intent, but more importantly, he measures follow-through. Trust is earned in patterns, not promises. It is built in the steady repetition of truth, not the flash of charm. The greatest twist? You can trust others deeply, but only when you trust yourself more. When your sense of worth, your peace, your strength do not depend on another's approval or loyalty. When your boundaries are clear, and your willingness to walk away is real, this is the ultimate power: to be open, yet unbreakable, to give trust without surrendering your sovereignty, to engage with the world without being undone by its inevitable betrayals. Can you hold that paradox? Can you be vulnerable without losing your strength? Can you trust without losing your peace? This is the challenge and the promise of the Stoic Machiavellian path. It is not easy. It is not for the faint-hearted. But it is freedom. Freedom from manipulation. Freedom from fear. Freedom to live fully, wisely, and with a heart guarded but unguarded. In mastering this balance, you become the master not just of others' trust, but of your own soul. Machiavelli did not despise trust. Rather, he understood its delicate nature, a fragile thread woven through the fabric of human relations. Trust itself is not evil. It becomes dangerous only when given blindly, without wisdom or caution. The true peril lies not in trusting, but in failing to discern where that trust belongs. What if betrayal is not the end but a beginning? Not a failure but a brutal form of clarity? When someone breaks your trust, they are not just causing pain, they are revealing a truth you might have ignored. That moment of heartbreak is, in fact, your awakening. It strips away illusion and forces you to confront reality, no matter how uncomfortable. Imagine the power of seeing betrayal not as defeat, but as a lesson etched deep into your understanding of human nature. The person who betrayed you did so, not because you were weak, but because they showed you what was hidden in plain sight. That painful truth becomes a beacon, guiding you away from future harm and towards deeper wisdom. Recall the opening image, the quiet room that falls silent, not because everyone knows you, but because they sense the weight of your presence. Trust carries the same weight. It can build empires of loyalty and connection, or it can bring them crashing down. Do not fear trust. Instead, respect its power. Trust is the foundation of every relationship, every bond, every society. But like fire, it must be handled with care and skill. When nurtured properly, it warms and illuminates. When mishandled, it burns and consumes. So ask yourself, are you placing your trust where it is truly earned? Or are you simply placing it where it feels good? True strength lies in that discerning choice, in honoring trust as the precious force it is and never allowing it to blind you again. Trust is sacred, but it is never free. In a world brimming with hidden motives and veiled intentions, trust stands as a rare and precious commodity, demanding far more than casual acceptance. It must be tested, proven through consistent actions and genuine character. Trust must be protected, wrapped carefully within boundaries that safeguard your peace and dignity. Above all, trust must be guarded, not given lightly, nor without wisdom. When misplaced, Trust does not simply falter. It can shatter the very foundation of your relationships, your sense of security, and your belief in humanity. Machiavelli, the master of political realism, pulled back the curtain on the darker dimensions of trust. He did not demonize trust itself. Rather, he exposed how trust can be exploited, weaponized by those who understand its power. He showed us that in the wrong hands, trust is less a virtue and more a tool, a lever to be pulled, a trap to be sprung. His lessons are unflinching, sometimes harsh but vital for anyone who refuses to be blind to the realities of human nature. Yet alongside Machiavelli's cold pragmatism, the Stoics offer a different but complementary light. Where Machiavelli warns of danger, the Stoics teach us how to survive it with dignity and calm. They guide us to cultivate inner resilience, to maintain tranquility, even when outer circumstances threaten to unsettle us. They remind us that while we cannot always control others, we can control our response. Trust then becomes not a reckless gamble, but a measured act, balanced by reason and guarded by self-respect. This merging of philosophies, the sharp eye of Machiavelli and the steady heart of the Stoics, forms a powerful lens through which to view trust. It is a lens that sharpens your perception without hardening your soul. It teaches you to be neither naive nor cynical. Instead, you learn to walk through the world with eyes wide open, choosing where to place your trust and when to hold it back. You learn that true strength lies in that discernment, the wisdom to recognize who deserves your faith and the courage to withdraw it from those who don't. Trust is not a gift to be given indiscriminately, nor is it a prize to be hoarded selfishly. It is a sacred bond, forged through consistent truthfulness and mutual respect. It is earned slowly, built carefully, and preserved vigilantly. To give trust without boundaries is to give away your power. To refuse trust altogether is to build walls that isolate and harden your heart. The Stoic Machiavellian path is the middle way, a path of balance where trust flourishes under the light of awareness and self-control. When you embrace this balanced approach, you walk forward differently. You engage with others without fear, but also without foolishness. You allow yourself to be open and vulnerable, but only where it is safe and deserved. You no longer fall prey to manipulation because you have the armor of wisdom and the shield of calm. Betrayal no longer breaks you, it teaches you. Disappointment no longer blinds you, it clarifies your vision. And this clarity is liberating. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of doubt and suspicion. It frees you from the pain of repeated betrayals. It frees you to build genuine connections, connections rooted not in illusion, but in reality. It frees you to trust without losing your peace. If this perspective has shifted how you see trust, relationships, or even yourself, then share this insight with someone who needs it. Someone who has been hurt by misplaced trust, someone who struggles with doubt, or someone who simply wants to walk through life with clearer eyes and a steadier heart. Help them armor themselves with this wisdom so they too can navigate the complexities of trust without losing their way. Invite them to see trust, not as a naive hope, but as a powerful sacred force, one that can build empires or destroy them. Remind them that while trust is fragile, it can also be resilient when held with care. Teach them that the greatest power is not in controlling others, but in mastering how and when to trust. And now, to you who have listened and reflected, claim your strength. Make your declaration. Comment below. I trust with eyes open. Let this be your mantra, your promise to yourself and the world. Let it remind you daily that you will not hand over your trust blindly, nor will you close your heart in fear. You will walk forward, clear-eyed and unafraid, ready to build connections that honor both your peace and your power. Let the masks fall away, yours and theirs. Step into this new way of seeing, a new way of living, where trust is not given lightly, but never withheld from those who earn it. Live with the confidence that comes from understanding both the fragility and the strength of trust. Live with the freedom that comes from knowing your soul is guarded yet open. This is the path of wisdom. This is the path of balance. This is the path that transforms trust from a risk into a sacred bond, a bond that holds not just others but yourself with unwavering respect.